Hi, I'm Andy Temte, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Muse. Start your weekend with musings that are designed to improve financial literacy around the world. Today is July the 19th, 2025. Last week, we explored how the Knights Templar invented modern banking during the Crusades, using letters of credit to help European nobles secure their wealth during their extended trips to the Holy Land. Now, today, we're diving into what happened next, how a family of wool merchants from Florence, Italy, took the Templars' revolutionary banking concepts and transformed them into the sophisticated financial systems that power our modern economy. So, picture this. It's 1307, and King Philip IV of France has just delivered a devastating blow to the financial world. On Friday, October the 13th, and yes, it's the origin of our superstition around Friday the 13th, Philip ordered the mass arrest of the Knights Templar across France. The Templars' vast banking network, which had served European nobility for over 150 years, suddenly collapsed. This created what economists would recognize as a massive market opportunity. European merchants and nobles, they still needed banking services, the letters of credit, the secure deposits, and the international money transfers that the Templars had pioneered, but now these services had no reliable providers. Into this vacuum stepped Giovanni de' Medici in 1397, 90 years later. He wasn't born into wealth or nobility. He came from a merchant family background and found himself in a world where international banking services were desperately needed but poorly served. The economic opportunity was clear. European trade was expanding. The Pope's court, also called the Papal Court, needed reliable financial management, and merchants required secure ways to move money across borders. When Giovanni's son Cosimo took over the family bank, he inherited a world where the Templars' dramatic collapse was still fresh in collective memory. Any successful banker of the era would have been keenly aware of what had gone wrong. The Templars had been brilliant innovators, but had made themselves targets for political rulers, kings, and princes through their combination of vast wealth, secrecy, and independence from those kings and princes, also known as secular rulers. Cosimo chose a fundamentally different path from the Templars. Where the Templars had operated in secrecy, the Medici would operate with unprecedented openness. The family's perfection of what is now known as double-entry bookkeeping wasn't just an accounting innovation, it was a transparency revolution. Every transaction had to balance debits and credits. Every entry required verification, and every decision left a clear paper trail. Now, this transparency served multiple purposes. It made fraud much more difficult, which built consumer confidence. It provided clear records for tax purposes, which satisfied political authorities, and it created systematic processes that could be replicated across multiple locations, enabling international expansion. Now, by 1455, the Medici operated branches in Florence, Rome, Venice, Naples, Milan, Pisa, Geneva, Lyon, Bruges, and in London. So they were in Belgium, London, and they were in Italy, rivaling the old Templar network in its scope. But the Medici structure was fundamentally different. Each branch had a separate legal entity with local partnerships. This provided several advantages. Number one, it limited liability if an individual branch failed. 2, it gave local partners ownership stakes that aligned their interests with the bank's success. And 3, it made the entire network less threatening to political authorities. The Medici also improved on Templar financial instruments. Where Templars had offered basic letters of credit, the Medici developed sophisticated bills of exchange that could be endorsed, discounted, and traded similar to modern securities. They created what was essentially Europe's first systematic foreign exchange market, with regular currency trading based on supply, demand, and political stability. Now, imagine that you're a Venetian spice merchant in 1450. You need to purchase silk in Constantinople, but don't want to carry gold through dangerous territory. The same problem that had driven nobles to the Templars a few hundred years earlier. The Medici solution was much more comprehensive. You could deposit Venetian ducats at the Medici branch in Venice, receive a letter of credit, but also get detailed market intelligence about silk prices in Constantinople, currency exchange rates along your route, and introductions to trusted local merchants. This comprehensive service approach reveals how the Medici operation differed from the Templars. The Templars had focused primarily on wealth storage and transfer. The Medici provided relationship management, market intelligence, and comprehensive customer service alongside their core banking functions. Now, where the Templars had maintained independence from secular rulers, those kings and princes, ultimately leading to their downfall, the Medici embraced political integration. They became bankers to popes, advisors to kings, and eventually rulers themselves in Florence, Italy. This approach created sustainable competitive advantages. Their connections to the Pope gave them exclusive access to church finances. Their relationships with merchants provided market intelligence, and their political influence protected them from the kind of persecution that had destroyed the Templars under King Philip IV of France. The Medici also became major cultural patrons. Their support of artists like Michelangelo and Botticelli created valuable reputational assets that enhanced their banking business. Whether this patronage was a calculated strategy or genuine cultural interest, it certainly strengthened their position in society. Now, we can't talk about the Medici without talking about diversification. The Medici developed a notably different approach to risk management than the Templars. Where the Templars had concentrated their operations primarily around their military and religious functions, the Medici spread their activities across multiple areas and industries. The Medici distributed risk across banking, textiles, manufacturing, mining, real estate, and the cultural patronage that we talked about before. They created partnerships that shared both risks and rewards with others. They maintained detailed records that provided transparency to political authorities, and they built those relationships based on mutual benefit rather than dependence on any single source of power or revenue. This diversification strategy helped them survive several financial crises that might have destroyed a more concentrated operation. When political situations changed, they could adapt. When markets shifted, they had alternative revenue sources. We're going to talk a lot about the benefits of diversification in future episodes. Now, ironically, the Medici eventually faced some of the same challenges that had destroyed the Templars. By the late 15th century, or the late 1400s, later generations of Medici managers had become overconfident and politically complacent. They expanded too rapidly, took excessive risks, and began to lose touch with the careful relationship building that had made them successful in the first place. This teaches us about financial cycles and institutional life cycles. Even organizations that initially avoid historical mistakes can repeat them if they become complacent or lose sight of the principles that had once made them successful. And we'll see this happen over and over again, and this is why being a student of history is so important. The progression from the Templars to the Medici reveals how financial innovation builds on previous foundations while addressing earlier limitations. The Templars invented international banking, letters of credit, and secure wealth transfer, and the Medici enhanced these innovations by adding transparency, political sophistication, and great customer service. Modern banks still use organizational structures pioneered by both groups, the international branch networks, the centralized management with local autonomy, and partnership models that distribute risk while maintaining control. The financial instruments that we use today, wire transfers, international payment systems, foreign exchange markets, they all trace their conceptual origins through the Medici back to the Templars. Now, why does this matter now? Well, it helps us recognize patterns in our own era of rapid financial innovation. Cryptocurrency, financial technology disruption, and digital banking are following similar patterns, taking proven concepts and improving on their implementation while adapting to new technological and regulatory environments. The story reminds us that financial innovation isn't just about technology, it's also about understanding human behavior, political dynamics, and social needs. The most successful financial institutions are those that learn from history while adapting to contemporary challenges. If you're into historical dramas and you want to learn a little bit more about the Medici, then I recommend that you go out on Netflix and watch Medici, Masters of Florence. It's a 3-season series that certainly is filled with drama and intrigue, but also teaches you about the Medici family and that period of time. I wish you grace, dignity, and compassion. Until next week, my name is Andy Temte. This is the Saturday Morning Muse. You can find the show on all the major streaming services. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this with your friends, family, your colleagues, and your neighbors. The show is produced by Nicholas Temte, and we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Muse.